Good morning, first grade. Let's start off with a happy Tuesday. Happy Tuesday. Tuesday, April 21st, 2020. Chapter 11, The Boxcar Children Beginning, written by Patricia McLaughlin. You know, Tuesday is probably Mrs. Sheppard's favorite teaching day of the week because we've had that nice long weekend. This past week we had that nice long spring break to get ourselves extra rested. Then we got through that slow motion Monday, and then most Tuesday mornings we are jumping and ready to go. So, moving into chapter 11 of the Boxcar Children Beginning. Chapter 10 was a relatively short chapter, and we do plan to finish the book this week. Miss Thompson is not here with me in the classroom, but remember, Miss Thompson is doing all the technical directing. She's uploading. She's doing the YouTube links. In fact, I am taking everything down to her. I'm in the room by myself as I'm ready for her to do her part in helping to keep things going as you move into this learning from home. Boxcar, and more boxcar. Just show me the boxcar. And we're going to go to our farm poem, A Farm Visit by Betsy Franco. I need your eyes on the smart board. I need you reading with me. This is when we work on our fluency. My class went to a farm one day. We touched the soft brown cow. We saw where all the milk came from. I understand it now. We stroked a chicken's feathers, and we touched a muddy pig. Her hairs were like a bristly brush. Her eyes weren't very big. We watched the goats butt heads and put their hooves up on the wall. A little baby lamb was with her mama in a stall. We ate some carrots from the ground, a fresh and healthy snack. That farm was really neat. I hope my class and I go back. You should probably almost have that one. I know it's stuck in my brain. By the time we've worked on a poem for this many days, typically you can do it without even looking at the words. You almost have it memorized, and I bet some of you already have it memorized. The summarizing hokey pokey, as readers, when we summarize, we tell what the book chapter is mostly about. You put the big ideas in, you take the extras out, you put the essentials in, and you cross the repeats out. You do some summarizing and write the paragraph now. That's what it's all about, summarizing. And we're going to start right off with a review of chapter 10, which we read on our Happy Monday. Title for chapter 10 was, give me just a second, Not Goodbye. We made our prediction for chapter 10. We read chapter 10, and then we summarized the big ideas from chapter 10. As the Aldens, I need you reading with me. I should be on the smart board. As the Aldens and the Clarks spent their last morning together, having breakfast together, they decided to just not say goodbye. The Clarks left for their new home. The Aldens knew the Clarks were still in the cookie jar. AT10, another title for chapter 10, The Cookie Jar. Now we're going to go back a little more slow motion and go over our key ideas, which I have written as a bulleted list. If you were with me in class, we would be doing this together, and you would be giving me the key ideas from the chapter. But since you're working from home, I already have those key ideas in a bulleted list. Need you reading with me? I should be on the smart board working on that fluency. The Aldens and the Clarks were sad and quiet. Bullet 2. Benny decided they would have a not goodbye day. They would not say goodbye. Bullet 3. They all enjoyed a delicious breakfast. Bullet 4, Henry showed them that the Clarks would only be 3 inches away on the globe. Bullet 5, the Aldens knew the Clarks were in the cookie jar. And bullet 6, the Clarks left and were on their way to a new home. Aldens and Clarks sat in quiet because they know their time together is getting ready to end. Benny came up with that great idea. We just will not say goodbye. They had a delicious breakfast. Remember that cocoa and pancakes. Henry showed them, remember 3 inches looks about like that. He got out the globe and he showed the Clarks that they were only about 3 inches away, or would be about 3 inches away when they got to their new home. The Aldens knew the Clarks were in the cookie jar, not really in the cookie jar, but they put their address in the cookie jar. The Clarks left and were on their way to their new home. Those were my key ideas from chapter 10. And today we're going to roll right into chapter 11. And we're going to start with our T11, which is summer. And right now I would like for you to, at home, if we were at school and we were in reading groups, we would do this right in our reading group's notebook. I want you right now to make your prediction for chapter 11 and tell me what you think is going to happen in chapter 11. So right now, make your prediction for chapter 11. You know, it's readers, when we make a prediction for a chapter 11, we think about what the big things were that happened in chapter 10. And we're going to move right into chapter 11, summer. It was very quiet at Fairmeadow Farm. Everything seemed to move more slowly, silently. Now I'm inferring slowly, silently, because now the Clarks are gone. Henry and Jessie missed their walks to school with Meg and William. Benny missed, guess who? Joe. I'd like to have Joe, he told Mama. Well, Benny, Joe belongs to another family, she said. Maybe when we have enough money to feed a dog, we'll get one. When I am grown up, I will have 27 dogs, said Benny. Now that makes us laugh as readers. Remember, character trait Benny is humorous. He says, when I grow up, I'm going to have 27 dogs, because when I'm grown up, he says I can have as many dogs as I want. That's a lot, said Mama. 27, said Benny proudly. Now at night, Benny slept with Bear. Remember, before the Clarks left, sometimes he slept with Joe. Now we have that little symbol that tells me as a reader that there's going to be a little time lapse or a change in time or a change in setting. School ended and it was a hot summer. Now I think I need to go back and correct something. I think when the kids were getting ready to have the circus, I think I told you that I was inferring maybe they weren't in school because it was summer vacation. But now I'm wondering, when chapter 11 says school ended, I wonder if maybe when they had, during that time when they had the circus, I wonder if maybe they were on spring break and summer vacation had not yet started, just like we were on spring break last week. School ended and it was a hot summer. Other people who'd lost their jobs and houses came by the Alden farm. other people who had hard times. A family lived out in the meadow in their tent for a while. A man and his wife stayed in their car for a week. The man had a guitar, and some summer evenings at dusk, remember dusk is right when that sun's getting ready to set, late afternoon, they would hear his soft music. "Hard times," Henry said to Jessie. "I hope the hard times end," said Jessie. But they didn't that summer. Now, after the Clarks left, the Aldens had many other families that stopped and stayed at Fairmeadow Farms. They didn't come in the house and stay like the Clarks did, but they stayed on the farm because so many people are still having hard times. And one day, a man and his wife stopped looking for the hospital. His wife was about to have a baby. "The hospital is in the next town over," said Mama. She looked closely at the woman. "What's your name?" she asked. "Millie," said the woman. "My husband's Matt." So they're looking for the hospital. They stopped at Fairmeadow Farm. Mama said the hospital is another town over. "Well, Millie, I think you're not going to make it to the hospital. You'd better come into the house." And that night, in Mama and Papa's bedroom, a baby was born. His name was Thomas. Benny was happy to have someone younger than he was. He sang to Thomas and told him stories. So the baby was born at the Aldens' house because Millie couldn't make it to the hospital because it was too far away. "Could Thomas sleep with me?" he asked Millie. Millie smiled. "I wish he could," she said. "He's a little young for that." "And Thomas isn't a dog," said Violet. "I wish you all lived with me," said Millie. "You are the very best family in the world." "You are," said Matt. That's not the first time we've heard the best family in the world. Millie and Matt think the Aldens are the best family in the world. "When Thomas is older, I will tell him about that wonderful place where he began his life," said Millie. This is going to make you laugh. "I could be Uncle Benny," said Benny. "You are Uncle Benny," said Matt. After a week, Millie, Matt, and Thomas left, and it was quiet again. Reuben came over and cut the first crop of hay, and when it dried, Henry and Jessie and Papa gathered it for the winter storage. He gave Reuben half for his work. Now, Reuben helped Papa harvest the hay, and because Reuben helped him, Papa gave him part of the crop. The next day, when Papa came back from town, he had a letter from Meg and William. Now, text to self. I've been writing you a letter every single day since I think about March 17th, and you have been writing me letters back. So text to self, this letter reminds me of the letters that I've been writing to you each day. This letter is from Meg and William. Dear Henry, Jessie, Violet, and Benny, we are here. The car worked. Papa is a great fixer. We live in a house big enough for all of you, with our aunt and our grandfather. You're invited to come anytime. Remember, we are only 3 inches away, and we are family. Lesson in life, even though the Clarks aren't still living with the Aldens, they know that they are still family because they're so close because of their special relationship. Papa has some work as a handyman, and William is working at a farm for the summer. There is a nice cow there that the farmer won't let Meg ride. Remember, Meg rode Betty in the circus. We miss you, and tell Benny that Joe will be very happy when Benny comes to visit. He likes sleeping with Benny more than us. He told us so in woof talk. Love to all, William and Meg. P.S. Kiss Betty on the nose for Meg. Now I notice that letter is written in italics, and I notice they put a P.S. in their letter just like I've been putting a P.S. in my letters to you, and just like some of you have been putting a P.S. when you write your letters back to me. William and Meg like their new place, said Jessie. It must have been hard to leave their old place, though, said Henry. I wouldn't like to leave here, said Violet. They're brave. Brave would be a character trait stated in the text. And Violet said they're brave because they had to leave their home and they had to move to a new home. I wish we had a grandfather to visit, said Benny. Remember earlier in the book, Mama said the reason they didn't get to see their grandfather is because grandfather and Papa had differences. Grandfather wanted the Aldens to live with him. Mama and Papa wanted to live on Fairmeadow Farm. But Benny says, I wish we had a grandfather to visit. No one said anything. You will one day, said Papa. You will. There was another silence. Mama looked at Papa. Will he get me a dog? Asked Benny. Remember, Benny, now that he's had this special time with Joe, Benny really, really wants his mama and Papa to let him have a dog. Papa smiled. He might do that, he said. We'll go visit William and Meg sometime, said Mama. Sometime, said Papa, but it is a long way. 3 inches only, said Violet. 3 inches is much longer in real life than it looks on the globe, said Mama. Now, 3 inches on the globe doesn't seem like very far, but 3 inches in real life on a globe is a great distance away. And I will not kiss Betty on the nose, said Papa, making them all smile. And that was another relatively short chapter. That's the end of chapter 11 as I put in my city bookmark. And I'm going to turn that iPad back around so we can go ahead and summarize chapter 11, picking out the most important things that happened in the chapter. So your eyes need to be on the smart board, and I need you summarizing with me as we summarize on the smart board. The most important things from the chapter. I need to hear you from home. As the summer continued, other families who had hard times stayed with and near the Aldens. Millie and Matt stayed with the Aldens until baby Thomas was born. The Aldens received a letter from the Clarks letting them know they were living in their new home with their aunt and grandfather. Benny wished to be able to visit his grandfather. And AT11, another title for chapter 11, would be More Hard Times. My class came up with that another title last year because as we read chapter 11, we saw that not only the Clarks, but we saw that other families were having to leave their homes because they were having hard times. Now that wraps us up for today as we're finishing up chapter 11. This book has 14 chapters, so we only have 3 more chapters to go. So we will be finishing up the book this week. I thank you for being such good listeners from home. I haven't done this in a few chapters. I want to add a marble, or let's say 2 marbles to my bucket. And I want to give you a chapter 11 pop, like I sometimes do when you're with me in class. So, good time for you to take a break, good time for you to move into reading groups, or a good time for you to roll into another one of your lessons for today. I miss you so much. Can't wait for us to be back together. Thank you for working so hard on your lessons at home. And that's a wrap for chapter 11.